I see dead people. The Sixth Sense wasn't just a horror movie. It was a cinematic sleight of hand that redefined the modern twist ending. Beneath its chilling atmosphere and iconic line lurked layers of hidden detail, visual tricks, secret clues, and storytelling misdirection that kept audiences guessing until the final, devastating reveal. What audiences didn't know was that M. Night Shyamalan laced nearly every frame with subtle hints about Malcolm Crowe's true fate. From color symbolism to framing choices, from whispered dialogue to carefully orchestrated silence, the film is a treasure chest of secrets hiding in plain sight. Today, we're unlocking that chest. Here are 20 weird facts and hidden clues about the Sixth Sense that you totally missed. And stick around, because the bonus fact reveals a behind-the-scenes secret about Bruce Willis that even die-hard fans rarely know. Let's dive in. The red color code. Red isn't just a color in The Sixth Sense, it's a warning signal. Shyamalan deliberately uses red whenever the world of the living collides with the world of the dead. Think of the doorknob to Malcolm's basement, Cole's sweater, the balloon at the birthday party, and Anna's dress at the anniversary dinner. These moments are portals between realities. Not a single neutral scene uses red. The director himself admitted, anything in the real world that had a connection to the other side, we made it red. Audiences may have felt unease without knowing why. This subtle device primes viewers subconsciously for the truth they don't yet see. It wasn't just production design, it was coded foreshadowing, guiding us toward the film's shocking twist. Malcolm never opens a door. What's the simplest way to reveal a ghost? Remove their agency. Bruce Willis's Malcolm never once physically opens a closed door throughout the film. Watch carefully. Doors are already ajar, or someone else opens them. The famous locked basement door? He fumbles, but can't unlock it. This isn't just a character quirk. It's a ghostly restriction hidden in plain sight. Shyamalan stripped Malcolm of ordinary interactions with the physical world, but cloaked it in everyday rhythm so viewers didn't notice. Audiences were focused on Cole's chilling confessions, not on whether Willis opened a hinge. It wasn't an accident, it was meticulous direction. That locked door was more than a barrier. It was a clue that Malcolm no longer belonged among the living. The cold breath effect. When spirits appear, the room temperature plummets. But Shyamalan didn't want cheesy special effects. Instead, he used practical tricks. During the scene where Cole sees the ghost in the kitchen, the actor's visible breath is real. The crew chilled the room to near freezing with portable air conditioners, forcing Haley Joel Osment to shiver naturally. This wasn't CGI, it was method atmosphere. The freezing air became an invisible character, signaling otherworldly presence. And here's the kicker. The crew suffered through brutal cold to capture a few seconds of authenticity. Not just actors, but camera operators wrapped themselves in parkas while trying to keep lenses from fogging. The cold wasn't a gimmick. It was a haunting texture woven into the film's DNA. The dinner scene mislead. The anniversary dinner between Malcolm and Anna is a masterclass in deception. At first glance, it looks like an estranged couple on the verge of collapse. But rewatch it knowing Malcolm is dead. Anna never looks directly at him. She whispers, "Happy anniversary," like she's speaking to the air. The waitress sets only one menu. The illusion is achieved through editing, rhythm, and subtle performance cues. Audiences project marital tension where none exists. Shyamalan once revealed he designed the scene to be the most dangerous trick in the movie. It wasn't just dialogue, it was choreography of absence. That single dinner table carried the weight of the film's central lie, daring audiences to misinterpret grief as coldness. Cole's hospital confession, "I see dead people." That line arrives in a quiet hospital room, not in a haunted house or graveyard. Why? Shyamalan wanted horror to erupt where safety should exist. Cole's confession doesn't just terrify Malcolm, it terrifies us because it shatters sanctuary. Hospitals mean healing. Here, they mean revelation. Even more chilling, Osmond's delivery was filmed in multiple takes, each quieter than the last, until the final whisper chilled the crew on set. The script originally had Cole describing his visions in longer detail, but Shyamalan cut it back to a stark, four-word punch. The result? A line that ranks among the most iconic in cinema. It wasn't just a scare. It was the heartbeat of the film's ghostly truth. The wedding ring reveal. The wedding ring isn't just a prop. It's the detonator for the film's biggest twist. Shyamalan designed the final sequence so that when the ring slips from Anna's hand and clatters onto the floor, audiences realize Malcolm hasn't been wearing his for the entire movie. The sound effect is amplified, sharper than any other Foley noise in the film, to jolt the audience awake. What viewers didn't consciously notice before Malcolm's empty finger suddenly floods back in a wave of memory. This wasn't accidental. The cinematographer deliberately framed Willis's hands in casual ways throughout the film, always giving us a chance to notice but never drawing too much attention. The ring reveal wasn't just a plot device, it was a masterstroke of visual misdirection that hit like a lightning bolt. The misleading therapy sessions. Malcolm's therapy sessions with Cole are structured like a classic doctor-patient dynamic. But here's the trick. None of the adults around Cole ever acknowledge these meetings. Lynn, his mother, never actually speaks to Malcolm. The audience assumes parental consent, but the truth is simpler. Cole is talking to a ghost. Shyamalan structured these conversations with clinical precision, even having Willis use the cadence of a real child psychologist. The production studied therapy transcripts to nail the authenticity, but authenticity was the disguise. What seems like a struggling psychologist helping a boy is really a lost man learning the truth about himself. These scenes weren't about Cole's healing. They were about Malcolm's awakening. The therapy chair wasn't just furniture. It was a ghost's confessional booth. Donnie Wahlberg's transformation. The opening scene shocks not only with violence but with Donnie Wahlberg's unrecognizable transformation. Wahlberg lost more than 40 pounds to play Vincent Gray, the former patient who shoots Malcolm. He starved himself on a near-liquid diet, reportedly crying to his brother Mark about the physical toll. On set, he appeared gaunt, trembling, and unstable, an authenticity that unsettled even Bruce Willis. Wahlberg later admitted he slept naked on a cold floor the night before filming to feel the desperation of his character. His haunting performance lasts mere minutes, yet it sets the tone for the entire film. The irony? Wahlberg, best known then for pop stardom, delivered one of his most critically acclaimed performances in this fleeting role. It wasn't a cameo, it was the film's trigger. The dinner check trick. In the anniversary dinner scene, Shyamalan slipped in another subtle clue. Anna pays the bill. To audiences, it looks like she's grabbing the check before Malcolm can. But rewatch it carefully. The check lands on her side of the table because the waitress only set it there. Malcolm doesn't even get acknowledged by the server. This moment is a sleight of hand hidden in plain sight. The sound mix helps trick the audience. The clink of the checkbook is sharp, masking the fact that Anna alone interacts with it. What seems like a simple marital dominance gesture is actually another ghost clue. The detail is so small, most viewers miss it entirely, but it's part of Shyamalan's meticulous layering. Even dinner bills whispered the truth about Malcolm's fate. The misread argument with Lynn. There's a pivotal scene where Cole's mother, Lynn, believes he's lying about a missing pendant. Malcolm sits nearby, silently observing. To the audience, it plays like a psychologist monitoring family dynamics. But here's the deception. Lynn never acknowledges Malcolm's presence. She doesn't look at him, doesn't react to him, doesn't hear him. Audiences miss it because they're focused on the emotionally charged fight between mother and son. This scene is where Shyamalan hides one of his boldest gambits, presenting a ghost as an active participant in a conversation he was never actually part of. It's a psychological trick, preying on our assumptions about framing. Not a mistake, but a carefully calibrated absence. This was misdirection on par with a magician's disappearing act, the Latin prayer Easter egg. When Cole kneels in church, whispering Latin prayers, many audiences assume he's simply Catholic. But Shyamalan slipped in something deeper. Cole recites fragments traditionally used in exorcisms, not standard prayers. This isn't a kid mumbling memorized liturgy, it's a child instinctively protecting himself from spirits. Haley Joel Osment studied recordings of actual Latin chants to get the pronunciation right, even though most viewers wouldn't recognize the phrases. Shyamalan admitted later that he wanted Cole's faith practices to feel raw, not rehearsed, like survival instincts. The church setting amplifies the irony. A holy place becomes his only safe zone. What seems like innocent piety is actually a survival strategy. It wasn't just a prayer, it was a child's desperate shield against the dead that haunted him everywhere else. Bruce Willis's minimalist performance. Willis delivers one of his quietest performances in The Sixth Sense. But that wasn't laziness, it was deliberate design. Shyamalan instructed him to strip away his usual action hero charisma, keeping gestures minimal and voice soft. This ghost wasn't supposed to command rooms, he was supposed to slip through them. Even wardrobe supported this. Muted suits, dull ties, nothing flashy. Willis later revealed he was frustrated at times, wanting to inject more energy, but Shyamalan pushed restraint. Ironically, this underplayed style gave Willis one of his most acclaimed roles. The stillness wasn't emptiness, it was spectral presence. What audiences interpreted as depression or marital fatigue was actually the lifeless aura of a man who didn't realize he was already gone. The car accident reveal. One of the film's most heart-wrenching moments is when Cole reveals to his mother that her mother, the grandmother, visits him from beyond. It's delivered in the car after a traffic jam caused by an accident. The layering here is brilliant. The accident isn't just random background noise. It's a mirror. Cole's life is surrounded by death, even in mundane moments like a ride home from school. Production notes reveal Shyamalan staged the accident scene, with eerie stillness extras frozen, paramedics moving in slow rhythm so that the audience felt suspended between life and afterlife. The car itself became a confessional booth, trapping mother and son in truth. The accident isn't about blood and sirens, it's about fate pressing against the windshield, demanding to be acknowledged. Haley Joel Osment's casting miracle. Shyamalan auditioned hundreds of kids for Cole. Most played the role as scary movie child, wide-eyed and overacting. But Osment walked in, calmly read the lines, and then looked the director dead in the eye and said, "I read it 3 times last night." That floored everyone. His intelligence, his eerie calm, and his emotional control made him undeniable. Producer Frank Marshall later said Osment wasn't acting scared, he was being scared. And here's the kicker. Osment cried during every audition take at will, something even adult actors struggle with. Shyamalan rewrote scenes around his ability, dialing up vulnerability. Casting wasn't just luck, it was lightning in a bottle. Without Osment, The Sixth Sense might have been forgettable. With him, it became unforgettable. The funeral videotape, the subplot of the young girl, Kyra, who reveals her stepmother poisoned her, hinges on a VHS tape shown at the funeral. That tape wasn't just a prop, it was shot like a real home movie. Shyamalan insisted on consumer-grade cameras, poor lighting, and awkward framing to mimic how an actual father would record. The actress, Misha Barton, had to drink spoonfuls of thick soup between takes, pretending it was poisoned. Watching her deteriorate on screen, in grainy footage, blurs fiction and reality. The choice disturbed test audiences so much that some reportedly looked away. It wasn't just exposition. It was horror breaking through suburban normalcy. That tape remains one of the most unsettling devices in any ghost story, precisely because it looked too real. The misleading opening gunshot. The film begins with a gunshot that seems straightforward. A patient kills Malcolm. But Shyamalan uses sleight of hand in the very first reel. After the shot, we cut directly to the following fall. No funeral, no emergency room, no aftermath. Audiences subconsciously fill in the gap, assuming Malcolm survived. This was a magician's trick in editing, burying the biggest clue in plain sight. The time jump was crafted to lull us into forgetting the gunshot's consequences so that we accepted Malcolm's continued presence as fact. Even more cunning, Willis's wounded limp is subtle, never dramatized, so viewers never connect it back to death. The gunshot wasn't just a plot starter. It was the seed of the twist, planted in silence. The hospital ghosts. When Cole walks through the hospital hallway, shadowy figures loom in the background. Most audiences are too focused on Cole's anxiety to notice them. These extras weren't random background actors, they were dressed in different eras of medical uniforms, hinting at decades of patients who had died there. The production team researched real hospital histories in Philadelphia to base the costumes on actual medical staff from the 1,920 seconds through the 1,980 seconds. This eerie detail deepened the sense that Cole wasn't just haunted by the dead, he was haunted by the history of places. What looked like an ordinary hallway scene was actually a parade of unacknowledged souls layered into the mise-en-scène. It wasn't just set dressing, it was storytelling through background ghosts. The silent dinner guests. In another unsettling scene, Cole hides under a table during a birthday party, only to be lured upstairs and locked in a closet by bullies. But the real terror isn't the bullies. It's the adults downstairs, laughing, oblivious, never checking on him. Shyamalan frames this to suggest a sinister parallel. The living ignore the suffering child, while the dead overwhelm him. On set, Haley Joel Osment reportedly begged for breaks after filming the closet scene. It was so intense that he nearly hyperventilated. The sound designers created the terrifying thumping inside the closet by recording animal growls mixed with low-frequency rumble. That locked door wasn't just a bully's prank. It symbolized Cole's entire life trapped between two worlds, screaming while no one listened. Shyamalan's Hitchcock-style cameo. Like Hitchcock, Shyamalan sneaks himself into the film. He plays the pediatrician who treats Cole after his mother thinks he's injured at the birthday party. But his cameo isn't just ego, it's thematic. His character diagnoses Cole with possible seizure disorders, essentially medicalizing what we know is supernatural. In other words, the director himself steps into the story to represent disbelief, the rational world dismissing Cole's truth. Shyamalan later admitted he modeled this cameo on the skeptical authority figures from classic ghost stories. It's a clever insertion. The storyteller appears within his tale, only to embody the very blindness the audience must overcome. It wasn't just a wink, it was a meta-commentary on skepticism versus faith. The sound of silence. One of the eeriest tricks in The Sixth Sense is its manipulation of silence. Every time a ghost appears, sound design shifts, background hum disappears, ambient noise drops out, and we're left in unnatural stillness. Shyamalan borrowed this technique from horror classics, but applied it with surgical precision. For example, when Cole enters the kitchen to find the ghost woman, the fridge hum cuts out an absence you only notice subconsciously. Sound editor Richard King described it as teaching the audience to listen for absence. By the time the twist arrives, the audience has been conditioned without realizing it. Silence itself became a character, whispering the truth in voids, not just quiet but the sound of death brushing against the living. The secret rewrite for Bruce Willis. Here's the twist behind the twist. Bruce Willis wasn't supposed to star in The Sixth Sense. Originally, the film was attached to another studio with different casting in mind, but Willis owed Disney a film after backing out of another project, so his contract forced him into Shyamalan's Ghost Story. Ironically, this punishment project became one of the biggest hits of his career. Shyamalan even rewrote parts of Malcolm's dialogue to fit Willis's understated style, cutting lines that felt too flowery. What started as a studio fix turned into lightning in a bottle. Without contractual obligation, Willis might never have joined, and The Sixth Sense might never have become the cultural phenomenon we know today. The Sixth Sense wasn't just a horror movie. It was a puzzle box of secrets, each clue hiding in plain sight, waiting for audiences to wake up to the truth. From color codes to silence, from icy breaths to whispered prayers, the film reshaped how we watch and rewatch thrillers. Its legacy endures not for the scare but for the revelation. If you enjoyed uncovering these hidden twists, like, subscribe, and share this video. And remember, sometimes the scariest things aren't what we see, they're what we miss.